Hi students, welcome to another session of biology. Today we are going to discuss about another system in our body. We have already discussed several systems, organ systems in our body, and we are going to discuss something very unique in our body. Okay, that will go hand in hand with nervous system for the proper working of our body. So before that, let me tell you, we have got a further reduced syllabus. In that further reduced syllabus, you have some selected things only learn from your textbook. Okay, so just note down what all things are coming. First, an overall picture about endocrine system. Then the glands you have to learn, that is adrenal gland, thyroid gland and pituitary, difference between endocrine and exocrine glands, location of glands, then hormones secreted by pancreas, that is insulin and glucagon, thyroid by only thyroxine, adrenal gland cortical hormones and adrenaline, that is ADH, pituitary glands, pituitary hormones like growth hormone, tropic hormone, ADH, and oxytocin. Okay, then hypersecretion and hyposecretion of hormone, feedback mechanism, how hormone is acting on particular organs. So students, we will be discussing only these topics and I will mark the topics in your textbook. According to that only you have to learn. Okay, for first of all in your textbook, need for regulation of body activities, that you can read actually. In that what is hormone is being told. Then general properties of hormones, that also for reading purpose I will tell you what exactly is actually to be learned. Endocrine glands they have highlighted here, that only you have to learn. That all things is okay. And one column is there in your textbook, difference between hormonal control and nervous control. Don't even read that because it is a very confusing column. Okay, because when you learn more and more about hormone and nervous system, you will have a clash of these kind of differences. So you don't have to learn that column. Put a cross over there about the difference between hormonal control and nervous control. That is not needed. You cannot simply learn something because it is given in the textbook. Okay, it may create confusions in you. That's why I am avoiding that topic. Okay, so next, uh, everything is okay, nothing to be accented, and feedback mechanism and all, everything is perfect. Now children, let us start. Okay, let us start with the first with the origin of the term endocrine system. What is endocrine? Crine means secreting something. That is what is a Greek word. Endo means inside. There are several scientists who is told to be the father of endocrine system, who discovered the first digestive enzyme. There is a very big story about the discovery of digestive enzyme in Second World War, or First World War, I think. A person, a small 21-year-old boy, got shot with shotgun bullet in his stomach region, and he was treated. But after treating, that hole remained there. And one doctor, what he did was that he actually tested what the that secretions coming from that hole, that gunshot hole, and he identified that these enzymes, these secretions are capable of digesting something in the food. The chemical reactions he found out. So from there we actually concluded that hormones are chemicals. Okay, so they are called chemical regulators in our body. Basically, they are proteins. Okay, even non-protein hormones are also there, but let us say that they are proteins. They have some specific effect on specific organs. Okay, that is one thing. There are hormones which are having overall effect in our body also. Okay, but there is a specific location on which the hormone must act. For example, inside a cell, there is a specific location for the hormone to act. That is what I am saying. So, hormones are chemical regulators, which is secreted by this endocrine glands. Endo means inner, glands mean, crine means sift. That is what we say, secreting, leaking. That is all the words that we can prefer. So, that is the meaning of endocrine system. Now, there are two systems in our body, endocrine and exocrine. So, if we are asked which is the biggest gland in our body, we will obviously say liver. But if we are asked which is the biggest endocrine gland in our body, it is thyroid. So, what is exactly the difference? In an exocrine gland, it will be secreted to the blood through a duct. Okay, but in exocrine, the secretion is through a hormone is secreted through a duct. But in endocrine, the secretion is directly into the blood. Okay, so that is the difference between endocrine and exocrine glands. There is a table in your, I think it is there are several differences that you can note down. One is we can directly say exocrine is a duct glands with duct. Endocrine is ductless gland. Then endocrine glands secrete hormones. Exocrine glands secretes not hormones, they secrete enzymes. I think I told hormones. Okay, but exocrine glands secrete enzymes. Okay, most of the digestive enzymes are coming under exocrine gland. Liver is an exocrine gland. There is a gland in our body which reacts both endocrine and exocrine, acts as both exocrine and endocrine. Yes, that both exocrine and endocrine gland is actually pancreas. Okay, so that we will come to that. That is, then they are responsible for chemical coordination, endocrine, and exocrine, the rate of chemical reaction, they alter the rate of chemical reaction only. But endocrine, it controls the body activities. In exocrine, that much big effect is not there. Okay, their effect is very low and very comparable when compared to endocrine glands. Okay, so these are the differences between exocrine and endocrine. The major difference that you must note in mind is that one is ductless and one is duct. The ducted gland is exocrine and the ductless ones are endocrine. Endocrine glands produce hormones and exocrine glands produce enzymes. That is the difference. What is the difference between an enzyme and a hormone? Okay, enzyme is actually both of them are specific, but in hormone there is an organ specificity in that we will learn in the last part of this chapter, that is the feedback mechanism that we will learn there. So children, now we will go to the location of glands. Okay, we have got glands from head to toe, we will say like that. Okay, so in the head region we have pituitary gland, pineal gland, hypothalamus. Hypothalamus is the throne of hormonal action. Hypothalamus inside our brain. Pituitary gland is called the master gland because it is capable of controlling several other glands and it secretes growth hormone, which is a very prominent hormone in our body, which controls in what we can say in another way, it controls the secretion of other hormones. Okay, so that is called a master gland. Then comes the thyroid, the thymus, then the adrenal glands above the kidneys. Then the obviously the sex hormones are secreted by the second primary sexual organs like testis and uterus, or we will say ovary. Okay, not uterus, ovary. So these all are the hormones we have as such in position, but we are only learning the hormones, that is and adrenal glands, thyroid, pituitary. These are the hormone glands we have to learn, and related to that they have secretion. And so I will show you the location of glands using a human uh, picture. Okay, diagram. Students, as I told you, this is the picture of glands, different endocrine glands present in different regions of our body. That is the hypothalamus, the seat of endocrine system, the throne of endocrine system. Then the pineal gland, which controls the circadian rhythms, that is the sleep and all. Pituitary gland, thyroid gland, thymus, pancreas, then adrenal glands, as you can see just above the kidneys. Then testis in male, and that position in female it will be ovaries. So these all are the positions of endocrine gland in our body. You can see that. In the brain itself, you can see pituitary gland, which is very small. It is a small gland, and it is called the master gland of our body. And then comes thyroid. Thymus, it is not prominent in adult people. It is prominent in small children. The function is secretion of immunity cells. Then pancreas for insulin and glucagon. It also secretes digestive enzymes. It is both exocrine and endocrine, which we have already told. I'm just revising all these things. Adrenal glands secretes the antidiuretic hormones. Okay, students, so first we will deal with the gland pancreas, which is actually secreting the insulin and glucagon. Not only they are secreting insulin and glucagon, they are secreting another hormone, somatostatin also. We will concentrate on insulin and glucagon. Actually, in our body, pancreas is a gland which acts both exocrine and endocrine way. Exocrine, it secretes enzymes, it secretes digestive enzymes into the duodenum for digesting the protein. Okay, that we have already learned in grade 9 and all. So this is called, so that's why it is called in both an exocrine and endocrine gland. Now, for secreting these particular hormones, insulin and glucagon, it has got an set of cells, specialized cells inside the pancreas, which is altogether scattered on the pancreas, which is called islets of Langerhans. The spelling is islets, islets. We are not saying islets is wrong way to pronounce. It is called islets, islets of Langerhans, because it was discovered by a scientist called Langerhans. Okay, that's why the islets of Langerhans. He discovered that the pancreas is a gland which secretes this insulin and glucagon. Now, what is this insulin doing? What is this glucagon doing? What happens if insulin is high in our body, glucagon is high in our body? So before that, let me tell you what happens to the sugar in our body. It is actually regulating the sugar level in our body. That is the major function of insulin and glucagon. When the sugar comes to our body, our sugar cannot be maintained in the bloodstream for a long time because it will affect the content of our blood. Okay, as we know, we are told that sugar is a silent killer. It is correct. It is not because of this reason. The thing is that while preserving sugar, they are adding some chemicals that is also very harmful to our body. But other than that, actual sugar is not good for our body. Lot of sugar is not good, and hence our body has its own mechanism to actually regulate this amount of sugar. It is done by insulin and glucagon. Insulin, what it does, it will bind the sugar and it will actually store inside the cells. Then what happens? The amount of sugar in our blood will be less. Normal case. But sometimes sugar is needed. When sugar is needed, yes, of course, the glucose molecules are broken and oxygen is released. Energy is required, isn't it? So we cannot leave every time devoid of sugar. Sometimes sugar is needed. Not sometimes, every time a minimum level of sugar is needed in our body in order to break them and release energy. but lot of sugar is not needed. It will affect the content of our blood. So in a optimum level it is needed. So who is actually releasing this optimum level? Yes, it is secreted by, it is done by glucagon. It will release this binded sugar into the blood. Okay, that is what the insulin and glucagon is. So this insulin and glucagon is going hand in hand in order to regulate the blood sugar level in our body. Okay, so students, that is what told in 155, page number 155. Glucose utilization is promoted by insulin, and glucose deposition is also uh, done. So, okay, the under secretion of insulin, that is the next topic. That is what happens in hyposecretion. That means, children, hypo means hypo, this O is there, so it means low. Okay, hyper means high, high amount. So what happens when hypo is there? When insulin is less, actually, what will happen? So, what will happen if insulin is less in our body? You have to think about the scenario. When insulin is less in our body, what will glucagon do? It will keep on releasing the sugar so that the sugar level will be high in our body. Okay, it will affect our body functioning. So that is called, so this hyposecretion is called diabetes mellitus. Okay, hyperglycemia, we will say. That the word mellitus is means honey, referring to the passage of sugar in urine. Okay, the high concentration of sugar in blood, that is called hyperglycemia. How this hyperglycemia is caused? By less amount of insulin. Hyposecretion of insulin creates hyperglycemia. This is what you have to understand. Okay, hyposecretion of insulin creates hyperglycemia. So, great deal. The sugar is secreted through the urine. The symptoms are given: loss of weight, becomes weaker and weaker. Some people get affected by even eyesight is affected. So, continuous thirsty feeling. These all may come under diabetes mellitus, which is common in most of the people now. 80% of the people have. It is an inherited disease. If your mother or father is having this kind of diabetes, you will have the chance of having that. Okay, so it is like that. So that is what is done. Now next one is high over secretion of insulin. Okay, if sugar is not at all there, over secretion, that is called insulin shock, we will say that. Okay, it means that the body will be devoid of sugar. That means if sugar is not there, energy level will be very low because oxygen doesn't have enough glucose to break down. That is the idea. Okay, brain may enter into a state of coma because inside the brain lot of activities are happening. Lot of oxygen molecules are there to break sugar. If sugar is not there, what will happen? There will be enough energy. Continuous supply of ATP is required in the brain activities. So if sugar is not there, the brain will enter into a coma, that is called insulin shock. Okay, that is called hypoglycemia. That means the level of glycemia, that is the level of glucose, will be low. That is what I told, hypo, low. Okay, that means hyper secretion of insulin. Why I am getting confused, making you confused with this thing is that is the question will be asked in this way. That is, when hyper secretion of insulin is there in our body, what is the condition? Then you have to answer, it is hypoglycemia, opposite. That means the level of glucose will be very low in our body, which may enter into insulin shock. Okay, so children, that is about pancreas. Okay, next one is about the thyroid. Okay, thyroid, or we will call it as thyroxine. The hormone is called thyroxine. Thyroid has other hormones also for secretion, but we will be learning only thyroxine. Okay, so where is the position of thyroid? Which I have already told you. Where is it in the picture? I have already shown you where thyroid is seen, and we have got two hormones over there, thyroid and parathyroid. Parathyroid is on both sides of our neck. Thyroid is in the center. So, what is thyroxine doing? Okay, thyroxine and calcitonin, what is it doing? Just like this insulin and glucagon, it is also secreting, and it is also regulating something. Yes, thyroxine regulates basal metabolism. What about metabolism? What is metabolism? Okay, metabolism means it increases the breakage of the food that we are eating. That is, it is being spent for releasing energy. Okay, so it will actually increase the release of energy from our food. That is what metabolism is. So when metabolism is increased, okay, general growth of the body, ossification of body temperature, mental development, this is actually is indirectly controlled by the thyroxine. Okay, so what happens if there is an hyposecretion or hypersecretion? Obviously, if is more thyroxine is there, more metabolism. Less thyroxine, less metabolism. You can actually read from this what we lead to the undersecretion, hypothyroidism. That is, if it is there is less thyroid is there. Okay, less thyroid means myxedema, simple goital cretinism. These all are the defects. Cretinism means dwarfness, not like the normal inherited dwarfness. It is actually the person will look normal in face, but he may look short. That is what it is. Then next one is simple goiter. You can see, you must have seen in old people. Not now, the goiter is not common because we are using iodized salt, because thyroxine is actually releasing iodine. Okay, so if the iodine content will low, that means the thyroid will swell. That's why in the neck region there will be a swelling. That is called goiter. And the myxedema is actually what happens when there is less metabolism. That means there is a sluggishness of face, hands. The person will become bulky. Okay, it's what we can say, a particular shape for the body, a pear shaped body, we'll say. That is, the fat depositing regions will be showing more deposition. That is called myxedema. Okay, simply understand it in that way. Now, hyperthyroidism. Hyperthyroidism means excess secretion of thyroxine. Okay, excess secretion of thyroxine causes exophthalmic goiter, that you can simply note down. Okay, no need of learning that. Okay, what is hyperthyroidism? Symptoms you can write. That is the protruding eyes, rapid heartbeat, shortness of breath, hyperactivity. The person will be very slim. Okay, that is called that causes hyperthyroidism. Okay, so these are the effects of thyroxine in our body. Next comes the adrenal gland. Okay, adrenal gland, what it is doing? Adrenal gland is seen just above the kidneys. Okay, if this is kidney, it is seen just above it's seen as a crown over the kidney. Okay, that is adrenal glands. So, children, I am teaching it with the help of textbook, because you must be very well aware of the position, because drawing it and showing it is really difficult. That's why I am showing adrenal gland. It is in page number 154. You can see that. Okay, that is in adrenal glands, they have an inner region, that is the medulla region, and outer region called cortex. The inner region secretes the adrenaline, which we will call as emergency hormone, or we will call it as fight hormone, flight hormone. That is, it prepares the body for an emergency situation. How the body reacts, that is, for example, emergency situation means for if a dog is coming behind us, okay, and we need to, it is going to bite us. We have a feeling like that. So we will run like anything, not like our normal running. We will feel a very energetic thing over there. We will run very faster than our normal jogging. That means we feel that we have got some other. We will when we describe this incident to our friends, we will tell that I don't know where I got the energy, but I ran like anything. Yes, that energy is brought by this adrenaline. That's why it is called flight hormone or fight hormone. Preparing the body, giving the body more energy. What is it exactly doing? It is actually increasing the heartbeat of our body, and it will release more and more blood to our system, so that more and more oxygen breaks more and more glucose, more and more energy is released. But our heart cannot beat in that capacity. If the heart keep on beating in that capacity, it will break. It will break off. So it is a risk. Every time it cannot be done that way. So that's why it has to be brought back, which is done by our parasympathetic and sympathetic system. That's why I told endocrine system and nervous system is going hand in hand. Okay, so it will be brought back. But there are some chemicals, that is like this, what we say, the drugs. In drug addiction, what happens is that this kind of uh, drugs are injected in sports people and all. Okay, that is, they will get this enormous energy during running time. If we are injecting this thing, they will get an enormous power to run. Okay, but they may have some heart problems and liver problems after that. So it is not recommended, and it is not the proper way to actually run in a race. Okay, so it is illegal. So that is what it is. The thing that you have to remember is adrenaline is secreted by adrenal medulla, the inner portion of the adrenal gland. Now, there is the outer region secretes the cortical hormones. Okay, the cortical hormones is secreted by the cortex. Okay, cortical hormones is actually responsible for mineralocorticoids, glucocorticoids. It is there in adrenal cortex, cortisone, which is suppress inflammation reactions. That is, this actually leads with the allergic reactions in our body, cortisones. They are steroid in nature. Some of them are steroid in nature, some of them are protein in nature. That's why when we get an allergic reaction, these kind of hormones are directly injected into our body, so that it will suppress the inflammation reactions. Okay. Mineralocorticoids means it regulates the sodium and potassium release in our body. Then glucocorticoids, blood glucose concentration, protein metabolism. These all things you can go through. Okay. Hyposecretion of glucocorticoids. What happens? Addison's disease. Okay. Loss of energy, skin pigmentation, loss of weight, hypoglycemia, that is low blood sugar level. So, what you should understand from this, hypersecretion of cortisol, Cushing's syndrome. This is all one words, okay? You have to learn in one words. So from this you must find out one thing, that not only if a person is losing weight, you cannot directly say that it is due to diabetes. It may be because of this hypersecretion of hypersecretion of glucocorticoids, the corticoid hormones. So if we have to actually check the blood, then only we can find out these kind of problems. Okay, you cannot directly say that it is because of this. This is about the adrenal glands. Now we will be discussing about the master gland, that is pituitary. So students, next we will discuss about pituitary gland, which is called the master gland, because it altogether controls the secretion of other glands also. Okay, it inhibits or it regulates the secretion of other glands in our body, which you will be learning in higher classes. That's why it is called the master gland. Okay, it has got, it is inside the, it is in the brain region, it is seen. Okay, so it will be it is having two lobes, that is anterior and posterior lobes. Okay, that is it is in the shape like this. The shape is like this. Okay, so there is an anterior lobe and a posterior lobe, which is there given in the textbook. That one is not actually important, but I'm telling you what is anterior lobe and posterior lobe. Okay, anterior lobe is growth hormone containing growth hormone, is secreting growth hormone, thyroid stimulating hormone, gonadotropin stimulating hormone, adrenocorticoid stimulating hormone. These are hormones. Okay. These all hormones are secreted by the anterior lobe. Okay. So we only have to learn about growth hormone. What exactly is growth hormone? It actually is secreted in a controlled way in our body, so that by reaching certain age, certain growth is shown in our body, especially the secondary sexual characters. These are also indirectly controlled by the growth hormone. Now, if the growth hormone is more in a person's body, that condition is called gigantism. If it is less, it is called dwarfism. Okay, so that is the hypo and hypersecretion of growth hormone. Next one is the posterior lobe of pituitary, which secretes ADH, which is called antidiuretic hormone, which is also called vasopressin. Antidiuretic hormone controls the release of water through urine. That is, during monsoon season we will have lot of urine. During summer season body will be having less amount of urine. This is for conserving water during the summer season, which is done by this antidiuretic hormone, that control of water. That is, whatever amount of water is required for our body is taken up for, is reserved for our body, the rest is released. That is decided by the antidiuretic hormone. And if there is a deficiency in antidiuretic, there is any problem in antidiuretic hormone secretion, that condition is called diabetes insipidus. The other one is diabetes mellitus. Mellitus is actually honey, that means sugar. So diabetes insipidus is actually the release of lot of water through the urine. That is called the over secretion, or the less secretion of antidiuretic hormone. Next one is oxytocin, which is a very important hormone, and it is released in the mother during childbirth. It brings the contractions in mother in order to push the baby during the labor time. So oxytocin is, if we are injecting oxytocin to a mother who is not having proper contractions, it may bring proper contractions. So the induced type of labor pain we can give through by injecting oxytocin. If some ladies may not get labor pain, in them this oxytocin can be given and the labor pain can be brought artificially, can be brought about artificially. That is called oxytocin. And when this is given, when the baby is pushed out, this hormone is responsible for lactation. The mother will start producing breast milk after the labor by the help of the secretion of oxytocin, the presence of oxytocin. So these are the hormones in anterior lobe and posterior lobe secreting hormones in pituitary gland. Next, we will go to the feedback mechanism of hormones. How hormone reacts in our body. What is the target on which the hormone reacts? Okay, students, too much is not good. Please slow down. If too little is there, the level has to be decreased. Whatever it is, even if it is food or medicine or anything, we have a mentality like that, isn't it? Too little is not good. We want an optimum level. Okay. So how hormones are regulating this? They are using a feedback mechanism which is called negative feedback. That is, if too much amount of hormone is there, it will actually inhibit that particular gland from over secretion of that particular hormone. Okay, we will take thyroxine. Okay, thyroxine is actually increasing the basal metabolism, regulating the basal metabolism of our body. So how exactly thyroxine is released? That we will see. First of all, I told you the seat of hormonal action is hypothalamus. So any hormone in our body will only be secreted with the knowledge of hypothalamus, directly or indirectly. So hypothalamus is having a hormone called thyroid releasing hormone, TRH. Okay, so this thyroid releasing hormone acts on the anterior pituitary, which is responsible for releasing thyroid stimulating hormone. Okay, this thyroid stimulating hormone will act on the thyroid gland and thyroxine is produced. This is a three-step reaction. Okay, now what happens? In the blood, if this chain keep on doing, what happens? The amount of thyroxine will be very high in our body. Okay, it will create hyperthyroidism, isn't it? Okay, so what happens in hyper or hypo? Let us see. Okay, so if it is less, then it will be hypo, then it is high hyper. Okay, so this cannot be made possible. So the body has to inhibit this. So what happens? If the thyroxine level is high in blood, it will inhibit the hypothalamus. That means it will block the message between these two. Okay, and one more thing it will do, it will also inhibit the anterior pituitary also. Okay, that is, if the amount is high, it will inhibit. But if the amount goes below the optimum level, this inhibition is removed. Okay, this feedback mechanism is called negative feedback mechanism. Okay, there are also positive feedback mechanisms are also there in your textbook. The examples are there, but you only have to learn the negative feedback, which is very important. This is a must question for board paper regarding the in connection to this chapter. Okay, explain the negative feedback mechanism with the help of a flow chart. That is the question. So children, these are the homeworks that you have. You have to draw this thing in the notebook and write all the glands and their hormones and their hyper secretion and hyposecretion. This is the homework that you have. Okay, I will be asking questions regarding this topic tomorrow. Tomorrow in the Google Meet. So please be careful. This is our last topic. After that, I will be putting the revision questions for you. One by one, I will be putting that and we will conduct Google Meet on that. Okay. I will ask each and every one question. And those who have answered that question can leave the Google Meet. I will make it in that way. Okay. Not this one, the coming one, the other ones. Okay. So, thank you children. Study well. See you in the Google Meet.